Hello, the internet. It's actually Tuesday night. I didn't plan yesterday, it was another bank holiday. Fortunately, the last of the bank holiday weekends. I hate bank holiday weekends. I find them really stressful. But that is a conversation for another time. Last week was a really bad week for planning. It got left mostly empty. This is this week. And after I got off the video, I had to think about stuff and like what's working and what's not working. And I'm gonna do a video with Michael to go more in depth in it. But basically, I have this theory of planning that planning is a triangle between planning, tracking, and processing. And I have been doing a lot of this as processing, thinking that it's planning, but actually it's not. And the problem that I was having is that the planning stage, for me, I think that I'm not a weekly planner in that sense. I think that for me to try and make a plan a week in advance about what I'm going to do and when and how and where it just doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. So I am going to try something different. I've rewritten my trigger list, and I now have a system that, like a daily system that I'm going through, which again I'll talk about in another video. But basically, it's like prompts and like a setup that I follow throughout the day. So I've got like a morning session, then I've got like my setting up work session, and then I've got like a lunch session and an end of work day session and all of that stuff. I haven't been very good at sticking to them yet because of chaos and stuff. So I need to, that's the next bit, is working on the discipline of following through on the stuff that I want to do. But I think that the system itself works out really well. So I've got a big list to work through and I'm going to start working through it. So I'm going to call it a Tuesday plan. I actually don't know what this is going to look like. So currently I actually don't have a time scheduler like I did. Having it on my phone wasn't particularly helpful. It didn't particularly work. So I think that for now, just for the sake of getting through it more quickly, I think I'm going to put my fixed appointments in here, in this side column. Other than that, I don't think that I'm needed for any of that kind of stuff. So hair. When can I work out? What did I spend last week? So I expect that I will fast forward through this bit so that I don't have to show my bank and stuff on the screen. £318.46, but of that, the caveat, 100 was Hindu, 91 was ADHD meds. So if I take away those two things, which are sort of non-negotiable and were not like for me for funsies, they were like sort of spending, then actually it was £127. Which is a bit higher than I would have liked in general, but I did do my nails and that's not something that I do every week. So if we divided the cost of the nails by 3, that becomes a bit better, but we're not going to girl maths it. We're just going to crack on. Am I waiting? No. This is ugly. We'll work on making it look nice next time. So what do I need to do? And this is where my new system comes in. So work, For FPT, the only thing, this is a project task, so we're going to give it a project folder, and it's the handbook. For Pippin, this again is another project task, and that is the website. These will have their own, if I flip to the back ever so slightly, these will have their own tracking and their own project planning pages. So all of this, that's for the handbook, which I won't go into details of. For Wedmin, right, this is a big list. But that is, I think, everything for the Wedmin work that needs to go on. So house. Projects. I think that's fine. I think that's probably everything. And then admin, I think I'm going to call it that in terms of like making the list. So I think what I need to do in terms of making my plan for stuff, I've got 4 different colours. So I've basically given myself different categories. So I've got folder tasks and single use tasks. So they're like discrete tasks. So doing the handbook, that's a folder task because that has its own subcategory, as is the website. That is a folder task. But contacting Clarissa, that is a single use task. Green is frog tasks. So these are like the difficult tasks that will take a lot of energy to do. So you just need to like, these need to be your priorities basically. Well, they don't need to be your priorities. You just need to be aware that these are going to be difficult. Update availability. That is urgent because until I've done that, I can't do the next stuff. And then repeat tasks don't have a colour. So I'm going to do repeat tasks in yellow, which might not show. I'm going to change that from red to orange. Orange is quick rather than urgent. I guess something can be both. There's no rules. There's no like, I'm going on vibes. So it's literally like, how does it feel? Like, what's the vibe? Is this important or not important? And I guess that as I'm doing it, the bits that I colour are the bits that are like the easiest to address, in the sense that these are the bits that have, at the very least, the clearest thing in my mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign an arbitrary order to these things. So I'm going to go, this is going to be number 1. I thought this was going to be more revolutionary than it seems. That is the next, this is the next step, I think. This is the next step beyond these bits here. So I'm going for improvement week on week. That is all I'm after. What I've been doing on my daily pages is I have been figuring out 1 candle of time, which is somewhere between 30 to 50 minutes, depending on how long the candle lasts. I've been figuring out tasks in terms of candles, like using a Pomodoro timer. If I had a 30-minute timer, like a 25-minute with a 5 rest, or like a 50-minute with a 10 rest, somewhere in that window will be my specific like length of time for the day. It depends on how many hours I've got available and how many discrete tasks I need to get done. But what I've been doing is I've been going, how many blocks in the day do I have? And then I give myself a task per block. And then if I think that one task can't be done within 1 block, I break it down to be a smaller task. So it is a 1 candle task. Actually, I did this today as well. So that way, in theory, by the end of the day, I have a bunch of tasks that have been completed. So even if I haven't completed like the big task, I've worked actively towards it and I can see what I have worked towards it, because the problem isn't whether or not I do things, because I'm doing things all the time. The problem is how I recognize if and when I've done things, because that's when I lose the objectivity of like how hard I've been working, and that's when I end up running myself into the ground, because I look back at the day and I go, I feel like I've spent a lot of time doing and I have no capacity to understand what I've done. So what am I going to eat and when, that will be decided later, because that will depend on Michael. So it might be that I need to reassess the order that these things get done. But what are the main focuses of each day? I am going to have FPT in the morning then. Wednesday, I am going to do Wedmin in the morning, and I'm going to do Pippin in the afternoon. So in the morning I will start from task 1 and I will work my way through as far as I can get, and then in the afternoon I will continue doing Pippin stuff. I've got therapy 9:30 on Thursday. I forgot about that. And then on Thursday I'm going to do Pippin all day once I finish stuff. So for Pippin it's going to be task 1 and then task 2 will be continuing. I don't think there's anything else for Pippin other than continuing. I have a separate workflow for Pippin which doesn't need to be shown because it's sort of vaguely relevant. Dad cover 12 till 3, so I'll be at mum's, which means that anything that I do needs to be laptop, like lapable, rather than a laptop at a table-able. And then I've got a phone call from the doctor sometime around 2, so probably I'm just gonna say that PM is off, and then if I decide to do anything with it then I can and will. Extension cable, that needs to be done by Tuesday. Here's Michael, he's just coming home now. Hello. Money and taxes on Friday, because I can do that on my phone. So the next thing that I'm going to do, which I'll do off camera, is fill in what I did today. So I'll write out all of this stuff so it's just all written in one place, because that makes me feel a bit better. And I tried to do that before in other variations of this plan setup, and I've never really stuck to it. So I'm just going to see if I can make it work a bit better this time. But this feels much better as a planning system. This feels more put together. Anyway, that's it. I'm calling it. Bye, the internet.